All right, 7th grade, welcome back for your part 2 of day 3's lesson. So you have a warm-up again, so a double warm-up today. You should be able to answer those questions on your own, and if you're unsure, please check them against the answer key lesson. This example takes you through what I modeled for you already in the last video, where it's finding area in terms of pi given a circumference. So I'm going to model this for you again just so that you really understand what's happening in this modeled example. All right, so similar to what I just showed you, they're going to tell us that the circumference is 11 pi. Okay, and the units are inches. Okay, so they're telling us that the circumference is 11 pi. Now remember, when we see something like this, this is called in terms of pi. And because it's in terms of pi, we can make some predictions and some conclusions about this particular circle. So if I'm talking about circumference, again, I think about my two formulas, C equals pi d and C equals 2 pi r. But if I know that circumference equals 11 pi, this, to me, looks like our first formula, C equals pi d. And this is what you guys should have understood from the previous video that I walked you through, that if this is our formula and this is what we were given, then 11 is going to be our diameter. Okay, so if we know that our diameter is 11, then we should at this point also be able to tell what our radius is. And the way you figure that out is by splitting your diameter in half, and that radius would be equal to 5.5. Okay, half of 11 would be 5.5. Now, what this question is asking us to do is not find the diameter, not find the radius. It's asking us to find the area. So why is this helpful? Why are we doing all this work to figure out the area? Well, if we think about the area formula, think about what part of the circle you need to figure out the area in terms of pi. The part of the circle you need is the radius. So by being given their circumference is equal to 11 pi, we were able to find out the diameter is 11, to then find out that the radius is 5.5, and then can plug that in to r to now find our area in terms of pi. So I'm going to write area equals pi times 5.5 squared. Remember, order of operations, we have to do our exponents first. So 5.5 squared is not 5.5 times 2, it's 5.5 times 5.5. And that answer is going to be 30.25. And I bring down my pi to my answer. So now I have my answer in terms of pi for the area. And the only thing missing is the units. So the units, again, were inches. So I'm going to put inches, and then I'm also going to put squared. Because remember, when we do units for area, the units are always squared. So let's go back to the beginning. So I am literally just modeling this I do example that's in your lesson, okay? So it tells us that they give us a circumference that is 11 pi and inches, and they want us to find the area. So the first thing you want to do is write the information that they give you. They tell you the circumference is equal to 11 pi. If the circumference is equal to 11 pi, then we know that the diameter is then equal to 11. If the diameter is equal to 11, then the radius is equal to half of that number, which is 5.5. And the reason why that's helpful is because to find the area of a circle, we need a radius. So without that radius, we couldn't find the area. So then we take that radius, we plug it into our formula. We're finding it in terms of pi, so we do our exponents first. 5.5 times 5.5, or 5.5 squared. That product is 30.25. We leave pi in our answer. we bring our units back and raise them to the second power. So we get an answer of 30.25 pi inches squared. Okay, so that again is the modeled example you see in the lesson. There's another example for you to do. I will start you off on this one, but I think you guys should use what I just modeled for you to attempt it more on your own. But I'll start you at least off to give you an idea. Let's see. Okay, so this time the circumference is 15 pi centimeters. Run out of room. Okay. So if the circumference is 15 pi centimeters, I'm going to rewrite it as C equals 15 pi. Okay. Again, this looks like my formula. C equals pi d. If that's the case, I now know that my diameter is 15. And you should know how to find that radius. So I'm going to leave that blank. Once you figure out what that radius is, you then can find the area of this circle in terms of pi, because you need the radius to find the area. So you would then take whatever you get here and you would plug it in. I'm going to put a circle, whatever this is, question mark. You would put that number here and square it. Okay, so again, you're going to do this calculation. You're going to do that number times itself or that number squared, however you look at it. And then you should wind up with your area equals that number, okay, after it's squared, the pi symbol. And then remember, it should be your units squared. So I'm not doing as much work for you this time because you should use the previous example to understand this. So again, they told us the circumference is 15 pi centimeters. I rewrote it as C equals 15 pi. If this is our given information, then I know that the diameter is therefore 15. And if my diameter is 15, you should all at this point be able to find the radius. Once you have the radius, you can now find the area of this circle in terms of pi by using your formula. You plug in the radius. You would then take that number, raise it to the second power, or multiply it by itself, however you calculate that. Then you put that number here, the pi symbol next to it, the units raised to the second power. And that is your area found in terms of pi, given a circumference. Okay? So let's go back to the lesson, make sure I don't leave anything out for you. So there's a couple more problems for you to do on your own. And then if you want, there is an extension that I will do a separate video on. It's really geared for anyone that feels like they're being super successful with these lessons. It's a little bit more complex, but if you feel up to it, please check out my next video. I will guide you through that for anyone that feels like they want just a little bit more challenge in their day today. All right, happy Wednesday.